All right, guys, in today's video, I am going to teach you how to fix your follow-up. So if you're someone who hates unresponsive leads, you're paying for leads and it doesn't matter how many times you contact them, it's just like crickets. Or maybe they do respond, but then very quickly drop off, which means that they are not converting or not coming in for a trial, not buying a front-end offer, not buying anything, which means that you have basically wasted ad spend. You've spent money on leads who never come in and never buy. So you might be thinking to yourself, hey, I just need more leads. I hear this all the time. I just need more leads. But 9 times out of 10, if you actually were able to convert more of the leads you already had into members, you wouldn't actually need more leads. So that's why today I'm going to teach you how to fix your follow-up. Rather than working with a new ad agency, whether than using a new funnel or a new hot offer, all we need to do is fix the follow-up so that more of the leads that you already have or you're already getting will actually come in and buy from you. So we're going to go over some of the most common mistakes that I see. The first is not editing automation. So I can't tell you how many of these messages I get. This is one from my chiropractor, my hairdresser, my vet. So whether you're using Calendarly or Schedule One, whatever it is, there are automated reminder messages. The problem with these is they are very clearly an automated message. And when you send out automated messages like this, you can condition your prospects to view your number as spam. So instead of sending out an automated messages, you want to make sure that you are texting like a friend. So if you wouldn't say it to a friend, you shouldn't say it to a prospect. For example, if I wanted to meet you for a workout, I'd never say, hey, what's up? Can you book a time to work out with me in my calendar? No, you'd say, hey man, what's up? Are you free to meet me for a workout tomorrow? So when you text a prospect like a friend, they're going to see you as a real person. They're not going to see you as spam, and they're going to be more likely to respond and buy. Number 2, you don't want to announce that you're a business, at least not right away. So this is an opening message from one of my clients, and at first glance, it seems awesome. However, when you announce you're a business right away, again, you condition your prospects to view you as spam and be skeptical of anything you say thereafter. So what I recommend is using a non-business opener. So something like, hey, first name, how are you? Or how's it going today? Something along those lines. In which case they'll probably say, who is this? And then you say, oh, sorry, my bad. This is Sid from Underlying Strength or whatever it is. So try using a non-business opener. If you can get them to respond to the first message, they are more likely to continue on in the conversation. The next mistake I see is asking far too many questions all at once. So at first glance, this seems good. What are your fitness goals? Are you looking to lose weight, burn some belly fat, tone up, or all three? This is far too overwhelming. The best analogy I can give is it's kind of like an episode of Sex and the City where Carrie first moves in with Aiden. And she's really annoyed because when she walks into the apartment, he's like, hey, where have you been? Who do you know? Who did you talk to? Where did you go? And she's like, chill out, man. I just walked through the door. So when you ask too many questions like this, your prospects go overwhelmed, they get annoyed, and they're more likely to say this conversation's too much work and stop responding. So how can you say things more concisely? How can you say the same thing in one question versus 3 questions? So the fix is only ask one question at a time. Now, if we go back to this other example here, I would ask something more concisely, what are you trying to do fitness-wise? I never like to assume that someone wants to lose weight because that might not be their goal. I also think it's a little intrusive to ask somebody that you just met, hey, how fat are you? Right? So I like to ask something that is very broad, like what are you trying to do fitness-wise, and let them answer with all of these things. So remember, we can only ask one question at a time. Okay, now here's a very, very long conversation. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. If you want to pause this video, you can. But basically, he's talking with this prospect. She was saying how her goals, she was saying how she used to be a member and she really loved working out at their facility. And then we find out that she's not a member, and their response down here at the bottom is, "Oh, I see. That's sad to hear. Hope you'll work out with me again." This one drove me crazy when I saw it. I'm like, here's somebody who just went through saying how much they loved working out with you, how much they love being a member, and they aren't for some reason. So let's ask a question to get them to figure out what's wrong, right? Something along the lines of, curious, why did you cancel your membership? Or would you like to come back in for a free week on me, or something of that nature? So you always want to keep the conversation going by ending with a question, even though we can only ask one question at a time. Okay, here's another one that I see, which is talking way too much. So you want to think to yourself, tiny texts. There's that old saying of, he who ever talks the most in sales loses. So if you're writing a big paragraph and getting one-word answers, that prospect probably isn't going to buy from you. It's very important you think tiny text, and to use what I call texting like a 13-year-old girl. So it's kind of like if you've ever texted with a young teenager or a preteen, your phone's like ding, 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 because they send you one line or one thought at a time. Now, the reason why this works well is because it's easier for people to skim. So anytime you have a big paragraph or somebody sends you a text that's a big paragraph, you're like, oh, what do they want now? But if you get 3 small one-line texts, it's very easy to skim and it's less overwhelming for your prospect. Okay. Oh, this one here. So the prospect said, I was 137, now I'm 121. So they lost 15 pounds here. And they're also only 5'6", and they'd like to be at 175. So they want to lose about 46 pounds, right? And then they said, cool, I like your goals. So what's the biggest challenge? And they just moved right on to the next thing. This person lost 15 pounds, which is no easy feat. They were also extremely vulnerable in saying like, hey, I have 46 pounds to lose. I'm over 200 pounds. We just breezed right over that, right? So you want to make sure that you're showing empathy, that you're responding, you're relating. You really want to come through as likable, as caring, as charismatic in your lead follow-up. So I personally would have responded something here like, wow, I'm so proud of you for losing 15 pounds. That's impressive. And thanks for being so open and vulnerable with me. Then move on to the next question. So it's really important that you respond, you relate, you dig into whatever that they said. Okay. Here's another one, which is very surface level. So speaking of responding, relating, moves, lean in, right? They're asking a question and the person says their goal is to get in better overall shape. What does that even mean? Would you ever accept that answer in a sales consult? If someone said, I just want to get in shape, you wouldn't immediately move to the next question. No, you want to get the why that makes them cry. You want to figure out why do they want to get in shape, or what does getting in shape even mean? What prompted them? Like, why now? So there are many different questions that you can ask to get the why that makes them cry. But you can ask, like, tell me more about that. What do you mean by that? All of these sort of leading questions so we can dig down deep and find out what is it that they're trying to accomplish. If you say surface level, your chances of getting them to buy from you are much lower than if you get that why that makes them cry. So how many times has this ever happened? You're chatting, you're texting with somebody, and then all of a sudden they drop off, no response. This is what I call a stalled chat. So I'm going to give you a couple different tips for how to approach those. Number one is what I call poking. So a great message you can send to this is, you still with me? Did I lose you? Or simply first name question mark. So just a little gentle prompt to keep the conversation going. Sometimes somebody's driving or in a meeting or whatever it is, and this conversation drops off. So this works insanely well to get those conversations going again. Here's another one that I see, which is not following through with bookings. You should never, and I mentioned this earlier in this training, send your prospects a link to something. Because when you send them the link, they think, oh, I'll do it later. You want them to do it right now. So this person said they wanted to jump on a call. We sent them the link and then they never scheduled. I would have said something more along the lines of, what time works best for you tomorrow afternoon? And then use what I call red carpet booking, where you're actually inputting their information into the scheduler and then merely asking them if they received the email reminder, the email confirmation, right? You should never, ever, ever send a link to a prospect over a DM or text message. Okay, here's another example here of just not being persistent with follow-up. So this is a prospect that I was talking to, and I could see his little face bubble down. So he was reading my messages and not responding. So I followed up with him. Then a week later, I followed up with him again. Then a couple days later, I followed up with him again until finally he responded. So if you are confirming they're getting and reading your messages, you want to be relentless with your follow-up. We have a little joke internally in my company, and it's called going solar on them, because I filled out an interest form to get solar panels for my house. And they called me every hour on the hour the first day. Did not leave a message, just hung up and kept calling back. The next day, they called me every 2 hours. The next day, they were calling me every 3 hours, and I was like, I better answer the phone or these freaking people are going to keep calling me. When I answered the phone, the lady killed me with kindness, and she ended up coming to my house and giving me an estimate on solar. So do I recommend that you call people every hour on the hour? No, but I do recommend that you go solar on them and be relentless with your follow-up. Unless, in this case, they're not seeing the messages. So here's a conversation with a prospect, and you can see that she's not even seeing the messages that I send. So if you keep sending messages and they're not getting them, they're not seeing them, try sending them other forms of communication. Can you email them instead? Can you text them? Can you pick up the phone and call them? Or if the only way that you're communicating with them is over Facebook Messenger, I recommend tagging them in some content, saying something like, hey, not sure if this was useful for you. I sent you some messages with some resources, not sure if you got it. So try tagging them so they get that notification, or try another mean of communication like texting, emailing, picking up the phone, finding them on Instagram instead of Facebook, or whatever it is. I hope this video has been helpful for you. If it is, please do me a favor, and below this video in the comments, will you tell me what questions you have, what your actions, what are you going to implement from this, and what are your biggest takeaways? It super helps me when you let me know what you got or what questions that you had. And as always, if you enjoy these speed trainings, you want more of them, do me a favor and hit that like or love button. Those little thumbs up and hearts give me motivation to produce more valuable content to help you grow and scale your fitness business. Bye.